used to diagnose their condition. So basically, when people show signs of having a heart attack, okay, so basically when they do an EKG, there are certain signs or certain indicators that show that a person was having a heart attack. So they're able to diagnose that as their condition.
Mm-hmm.
In a study, a computer program for EKG diagnosis of heart attacks was pitted against a very experienced, highly skilled cardiologist. So basically, they took this computer program for diagnosis and they pitted it against this cardiologist who was a brainiac probably for determining heart attacks. The program correctly diagnosed a significantly higher proportion of cases that were later confirmed to be heart attacks than did the cardiologist. Okay. Interpreting the EKG data, therefore, should be left to the computer programs. Okay. Well, one, they're not really, it didn't really say what the cardiologist was necessarily doing to evaluate these patients. Okay, so we're looking to weaken it. So my prediction would be.
What was our conclusion?
Oh, sorry. Should be so basically interpreting the EKG data should be left to computer programs.
And why are they saying this?
They're saying this because it's because they diagnosed a significantly higher portion of cases than the cardiologist did.
Excellent. And so why is this flawed to start with?
Well, we don't know. We don't know if there were other entities involved, like
okay,
correctly diagnosed significantly higher portions of the cases. How do we know that? Where's the proportion? Like, how many patients did the cardiologist see? How many people were done on EKG? Like, we don't have any numbers to really evaluate what was more, right?
And are we failing to consider anything here too? Is our conclusion strong?
No.
Okay, well, the word should is not strong.
Right.
So you're right there, but let's say that it said must be left to computer programs.
And who's interpreting the EKG data anyway?
Okay, so interpreting it should be left, well, the computer programs apparently.
Right.
Here, but
how do we know that the computer programs are actually looking at things accurately?
Okay, and is there a reason why you might just not rely on computer programs alone?
Yeah, because they're not looking at other elements involved, like maybe diet or.
So because this technology is good, does that mean that we should only use the technology?
No.
Why not?
Because there could be flaws in the technology.
Correct. Isn't this kind of like, so there's two extreme views. It's like because the program, did it confirmed more heart attacks than colleges more often, then we should just use the computer program. Do you think a cardiologist would agree with this?
No.
No. Do you think the cardiologist would get rid of the computer program though?
No.
No. So what's the flaw?
Well, the flaw is that it shouldn't be left to just the computer. There should
be like maybe there's a reason like maybe there's other reasons why there's situations where the computer program isn't enough.
Right.
We're feeling to consider that there might be a purpose of having a human involved in the situation. All right. So now that we have the flaw, what would be one way to weaken it then? Kind of what we already said, but.
Yeah, weakening in the sense that it's not a good idea to just use the computers, that there should be a combination.
Excellent.
That would, so in order to weaken it, it should just be that, sorry, I don't know why all of a sudden a message from my ex-husband's popping up on my screen. to weaken it, we would have to say that it should be a combo deal.
Right. Or there's some other reason why it's beneficial to not just use the computer program, right?
Right.
Like just whatever reason that might be. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, go ahead and walk me through these answer choices.
So experts agreed that the cardiologist made few obvious mistakes in reading and interpreting the EKG. It's agreed. Okay, well, that wouldn't weaken it. That would strengthen it.
Okay.
The practice of medicine is as much as an art as science. The computer programs are not easily adapting to making subjective judgments. I would put a question mark by that one.
All right, excellent.
The cardiologist correctly diagnosed a significantly higher proportion of the cases in which no heart attack occurred than did the computer program. Well, that's kind of irrelevant because we're talking about indicating when people had heart attacks, not when people did not have heart attacks.
Okay, let's leave this one for a second.
Okay. In a considerable percentage of cases, EKG data alone are insufficient to enable either computer programs or cardiologists to make accurate diagnoses. In considerable percentage are insufficient to enable either computer program. Well, that's not what it said. That doesn't make any sense because it basically said that the computer programs were the ones that should be left to be utilized. Okay.
Yeah.
The cardiologist in the study was unrepresentative of cardiologists in general with respect to skill and experience. Well, wouldn't work either because we still need the computer. We still need the EKG and the computer analysis in there somewhere.
Excellent.
Okay, so let me look at B and C. The practice of medicine is as much an art as science, and computer programs are not easily adapted to make subjective judgments. Although it was my first guess because I would be bringing in the information to this answer that cardiologists are needed, but this answer does not really state that the cardiologist is involved.
Right, and it also, the practice of medicine, like couldn't the practice of medicine be as much of an art or whatever, and computer programs are not easily adapted, but it doesn't really specifically talk about computer programs interpreting the EKG data. Like the practice of medicine is so broad. I would have been with you though, and I would have left this one open the first time I read it, but I think C is a stronger option.
Okay, so the cardiologist correctly diagnosed a significantly higher portion of the cases in which no heart attack occurred than did. Okay, and I can see that now because even though if he's able to read the data or be able to diagnose that something didn't happen, then he should be able to assist in evaluating when they did happen through using the computer program.
Excellent. And what if there's a million false positives? So yeah, this computer program significantly diagnosed them correctly, but if there are a bunch of false positives,
right?
It's like, did they really add any benefit?
Right.
Potentially.
Right. Yeah. No. Okay. That was a good one. What level was that?
4. So that was a tough one.
Okay. Good. These aren't bad. I'm not feeling